Welcome back. The Houston Texans traded with the Eagles for the number 13th pick. So the Eagles are on the clock and the pick is in. Well, with the number 12 pick, the Lions took Jameson Williams, wide receiver from Alabama. And I felt that was a good move for the Lions, and I think they were in need of a wide receiver. Before we do anything, I'm going to give you the answer to the Scott Sports 101 NFL Draft trivia question from my first segment. I forgot to give that to you. And name the last number one pick in the NFL Draft to win a Super Bowl. And if you said Eli Manning, you are correct. The Chargers traded Manning to the Giants in 2004. Manning won Super Bowl 52. It was 52 and 54. And I'll have another trivia question for you right now. This is for segment number 2. Who was the last defensive player to be taken at number 1 in the NFL Draft to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? A. Lawrence Taylor, B. Bruce Smith, C. Reggie White, or D. Ronnie Lott. I will have the answer later this segment. But the Giants have moved up to 13, and the Texans now have the 15th pick overall. And the Eagles pick is in. We're waiting for that to come up on the screen in just a moment. But the Giants are in a position to make 2 picks inside the top 10, which that they made 1 but not 2. But now so we'll see what they do with their other ones. But there has been some buzz that they are looking to move back and acquire future compensation, but it takes 2 to tango. Fortunately, there is reason to believe some teams may have interest in moving up to number 5 or number 7. Now, the Giants got number 5 and number 7. Number 5, they took Kayvon Thibodeau, edge from Oregon. And number 7, the Giants took Evan Neal, offensive lineman, Alabama. So, there was people making their way on the stage. We're about to find out who the pick is, and so we'll find that out in just a second. And now, overall, and if one of those remaining edge rushers is still available, or somebody desperately wants to move up for a quarterback, hold on a minute. We're waiting for that pick to come up on the screen. Now, it's thought that Carolina is the most likely team to take a quarterback at number 6 overall, but they did not do just that. They took an offensive lineman, Ikem Ekwonu from NC State. So we're still waiting to see who will be the first quarterback off the board in this first round of the draft. And because no quarterbacks have gone off the board yet. And the Eagles have chosen Jordan Davis, defensive tackle from Georgia. And I think the Eagles had been targeting him, and I think they got this one right. So I really think this was a good move on the and now the Baltimore Ravens are now on the clock. They've got the 14th pick, and I think and their pick is in. So we're waiting for that to come up on the screen. But I do think that the Ravens are looking for either a defensive end. They're not so much looking for a quarterback, But I think a defensive end or an offensive lineman, or but Jordan Williams really put up a lot of big numbers with Georgia last year, and he really knows how to run it. He can really do a lot for you. He can really score a lot of points and really gain a lot of yardage. And he's a guy that can really keep the players down and really keep them from scoring. He really does. And in an ideal world, the Giants would keep one of their three choices, move back in the first, and again, future draft to gain future draft capital. To be more flexible in a quarterback next year. If a suitor does not emerge, then their consolation prize is adding two blue chip prospects to a premier positions like edge rusher, offensive tackle, and cornerback. So this could go either way for the Giants, and but he did, and Davis did have some inconsistency, but he did make up for it in the later games, and a few of the games that were right in the middle. We're going to be heading up the stage because we're waiting for the Ravens pick to come in, now the Jets. They have the 4th and 10th picks overall, but they did. And with the 4th pick, they took Ahmad Sauce Gardner, quarterback, Cincinnati. And with the 10th pick, they took Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State, which I think both were good moves. It could go either. It could go either for the New York Jets, with the Jets having the number 4 and 10 picks overall in this year's draft, which I mentioned. So, and we're waiting for the Ravens pick to come in on the screen. Man, oh man, it is the wildest I have ever seen. It's not the best draft, and clearly it's not by far. A theme that's beaten into our skills repeatedly over the last few weeks, but it's going to be an insane first round for anyone who follows remotely closely to Draft Talk. We had roughly 8 different people favor the Jets have indicated to go first overall since the start of the college football season. There's no Trevor Lawrence here, both in terms of the first overall pick and the quarterback class. I fully anticipate the top-rated mock out there to finish with a low score because you can, once you get past number 10, you can essentially throw prospects into the hat and start pulling out names. And that's what has happened clearly so far tonight after the 10th pick. So they've been pulling out names. So add in the fact we have almost 10 teams with multiple first-round picks, and it becomes really tough to predict what will happen. But I'm supposed to do that. So here we go, and that's what it is. The Jets could trade up and end up selecting first wide receiver Derek Stingley Jr., but they did not do that. Actually, they did, and they got the number 4 pick. And the Houston Texans got Derek Stingley Jr., quarterback LSU, he could soon soar up the draft board. And here is the Ravens selection. Kyle Hamilton. They take a safety defensive back from Notre Dame. Kyle Hamilton gets selected in the first round. I think the Ravens might have been looking to take a safety in this first round, and they did just that. And so, I think this was a very good move. The Houston Texans are now on the clock since they traded up. And now with the Texans losing Deshaun Watson, they're going to need a quarterback. So they will take a quarterback. And their pick is in. And we still have yet to have a quarterback go off the board in this first round. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But right now I want to give you the answer to this, to the trivia question for this segment. Who was the last defensive player taken at number 1 in the NFL draft to be inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame? A. Lawrence Taylor, B. Bruce Smith, C. Reggie White, or D. Ronnie Lott. And if you said B. Bruce Smith, you are correct. The Bills selected Bruce Smith with the number 1 pick in 1985. Smith was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, in 2009. I'll have another trivia question coming up in my next segment. And we were waiting for the Texans pick to come in on the screen, but it is in at number 15, so just going to have to bear with us. But the Texans, they had a strugglers season this past year. And they really, I think, had a very strugglers season this past year. And they had a very strugglers season this past year, the Houston Texans. And they're doing a comparison to Isaiah Thomas, who really put up some big numbers. And the Texans had a very strugglers season this past year.
We will see the Ravens have been busy as you take a look there at Kyle Hamilton. They gave up a lot of passing yards last year. They had 4 400-yard passers in games against them. So clearly this was a position of need. Meanwhile, I will tell you in a moment, the Ravens have traded away Hollywood Brown. I don't have the details in its entirety yet, but we will have that in a moment for you here. Mort will get us the details, but now the commissioner is making his way back up. The Houston Texans,
and they are about to, because the Texans pick has come in.
Out of LSU with the 3rd pick in this draft. Now they have their
But the Texans struggled this past season, and they had a lot of injuries as well.
For the 15th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select
Let's see who they took.
Green, guard Texas A&M.
Kenyon Green, guard Texas A&M. That's who they take. And I had a feeling that Houston might be taking him. And so this was I think this was a good move by the Texans. And now the Washington Commanders are back on the clock. And their pick is in. We'll get it to you in just a moment. As they really So, and they really,
Zion Johnson, Boston College, and Kenyon Green were kind of vying for the top spot, but that guard spot. And both these kids have played tackle. Green played a little better than Zion did. Zion can also play center. So those are two guys interior linemen.
and the Texans just really had a struggle to see. They did.
All right, so it's been a busy night for the Texans again. They take Derek Stingley early.
But this was a brilliant pick for the Texans.
Pick in the draft. At 16, Washington is on the clock, and we'll see what this direction.
And we're waiting for Washington's pick to come in. Oh, whoa, I'm going to have to get a. I'll be back right after this.